What's going on, guys? Battery's getting pretty low here, so I'm going to see if I can knock this out pretty quick this week. It's going to be a quick one, and actually I think I'm about a day earlier than I normally am. It's actually midnight on Thursday night, or pretty close to it. So I maybe am actually ahead of the curve for once. But as far as this week's update, as I said in last week's update, the main focus this week has been cleanup and organization. Looking around, it doesn't really look like I've done much. It doesn't really feel like I've done much. But, you know, if I look a little bit harder, I actually have gotten quite a bit accomplished. And I think it's really going to start showing pretty rapidly as I, get into utilizing kind of the fruits of my labors here. So to get into that a little bit more, I mentioned starting over in this corner last week, which is exactly what I did. And right now it doesn't look like much or like I did anything at all, maybe. And maybe I should look at last week's video just to compare. But believe it or not, I did throw out and consolidate quite a bit on the shelf. A lot of what you see here is actually from elsewhere in the shop. So there's actually some cleaner areas around the shop. And a lot of this, even though it's kind of cluttered, it actually is pretty well organized. And some of this other stuff, like in the front here, it's actually going to get moved pretty soon as well. It is kind of a juggling act, you know, as I'm cleaning a shop of this size with this much clutter in it. You've kind of got to move stuff from one side to the other and back again as you're going through stuff. And like I say, the best way I can describe it is kind of a juggling act. To try to get it entirely clean, you've got to kind of mess up a little as you go along. So I did quite a bit over there. As I was cleaning off that shelf, I actually found some shelf brackets and some scrap plywood and built this shelf here. So I'm hoping to utilize this to kind of clear off most or all of this workbench here, which looks like a bomb went off right now. But again, a lot of this I'm just kind of going through. I'm trying to consolidate, trying to get rid of stuff, trying to organize stuff, see what I need, what I don't need. And again, ultimately, most, if not all of that, will make its way up here. And as I built that shelf and was kind of clearing that one off, it kind of dawned on me, while floor space is kind of at a premium in this shop, I don't really have a whole lot of extra room for adding other, upright shelves or workbenches or tools or this or that. While that floor space is kind of at a premium, I've still got a pretty decent amount of wall space that's kind of going unused or underutilized, especially behind tools like my knee mill, up and above doors or up towards the ceiling. There's a lot of space just not being utilized. And a lot of that, even though it may not be super easy to get to, it's one of those things, for some of it, if I can just put stuff there, I don't need to get to it all that often. Whether it's tools I don't use very much or materials or, who knows what. Everybody knows what ends up cluttering a shop. It's just a little bit of everything. Some of that, I'd just rather have it up and off the floor or off the top of a workbench or even out from under a workbench and up on a shelf where it's out of my way. And then I can utilize that more accessible space for other stuff that I'm actually using. So keeping all that in mind, I went to the local big box hardware and got about 30 of these stamped shelf brackets. They're 10-inch by 12-inch and super cheap, by the way. They're about $1.25 after tax, I think. And, they're not going to hold up a pickup truck. I think the sticker says they're rated for 80 pounds per pair. So I'm thinking that means with, 3 of them, I guess I should be able to technically hold about 120 pounds, 150 pounds maybe, which is fine. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to stack a bunch of steel and concrete and other super heavy things up there, especially if it's something that could fall off the shelf and hit me in the head. Lighter is better. So I got about 30 of those. I already had some scrap plywood laying around, which even if I didn't, plywood's pretty cheap. 1/2-inch OSB makes a perfectly fine shelf. You get a 4x8 sheet for like, what, 15, 20 bucks. And if you think about that, for what that costs, if you've got a circular saw or a table saw, you can rip down 4 8-foot shelves a foot wide out of a 4x8 sheet. That's 32 square feet of real estate you're adding to your shop, just getting it up and off the floor and onto the wall there. For, 20 bucks for the wood, maybe 20 bucks for the shelf brackets. So a little bit more than $1 a square foot, you're adding real estate to your shop, essentially. So, a couple of sheets of plywood, that's like an 8-foot by 8-foot section, or 64 square feet of space. 3 sheets would be almost 100 square feet. That's a lot of extra space to be putting tools, materials, whatever, getting it up and off the floor, opening up your shop space, opening up your workbenches. And, not only is it square footage to set things, but, I could add some little screws on the edges here and hang some lightweight stuff, or I can add some brackets, and I can, even put hangers under the shelves. You could do all kinds of things, depending on what kind of brackets you have. If they've got kind of the trusses in between them, you can hang stuff on those or stick it through there. Get creative, and for $100, you can add a ton of shelving to a shop for super cheap. And, what's a box of drywall screws? Just grab a level, a pencil, and a stud finder, and go crazy. And as you can see, I got 2 8-foot shelves here. That'll add a ton of space. I've got the 3 over there. I may add a 4th above it. I'll probably I've got one more shelf. I'll probably just put it maybe over there above that bench, or maybe over there above that door, or somewhere out of the way. Like I said, I could go just about anywhere in the shop, and just as long as it's getting stuff out of my more accessible areas, that's all I care about. And it helps organize things. It gives me more access to certain things. It's just a win all around for really not much time or money. So that's what I'm working on this week. I think tomorrow I'm going to start filling them out. Get some of these benches cleared out. Maybe build some intermediate shelving even under the benches or on these other shelves. I've got a bunch of stuff I need to go through over in that corner. But again, as I can kind of clear all that stuff out and get it onto the shelves, then I can think about what kind of actual workspace I have, and about kind of reorganizing, reconfiguring tools, benches, whatever. And ideally, the goal would be to maybe open up a little bit of breathing room. If I could even have a spot where I could put like a folding table for setup and layout, that'd be nice. And then I could take it out as needed. Maybe even a rolling workbench might be in the cards eventually. But the idea is just to open up some workspace where I can actually get some work done. And then as the shop gets cleaned up and organized, then I know what I have. I know where stuff's at. I can get to stuff to work on it. And then hopefully I can get into some more worthwhile projects and some more worthwhile filming. I would love more than anything to do something different than just shop updates all week. That is in the plans, even in addition to the podcast, which is still in the works. But yeah, ultimately, if I can get the shop cleaned up and organized, the idea is to start filming some knife making videos. I'd like to redo the slip joint series. I've got some different tips and tricks for that kind of stuff already. I'd like to do maybe a fixed blade, or if you guys want to see something particular, by the way, if anybody's still watching this, if you've got a question about a certain knife making or machining practice, if I know how to do it, I'll show you how to do it. It may not be that day or the next day, but I'll put it on the list. I'll make a video. Just let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Like I said, it may not be the best video, but maybe you'll learn something, especially if it's something you've got questions about. If I know how to do, like I said, I'll try my best. But leave it in a comment or send me a message, and I'll see what I can do for you. If you look through my channel, I've certainly made videos for specific people before, and I have no problem doing that. In fact, I enjoy doing that. So let me know if it's something I can help you out with. I'll do my best. So that's kind of the goal there. I think tomorrow, like I say, I'm going to work on filling the shelves and kind of see where I'm at then. And I mean, then there's any number of other places I can go. I've got to secure some of these grinders down still. I've got to move some stuff still. There's about a half a dozen other projects I've kind of got in the back of my mind that maybe I want to start on. I'm not going to get into any of that right now because who knows where that's going to go. Might try to do a podcast interview tomorrow. I've got a guy lined up, a really good maker, a real interesting guy, very knowledgeable, real personable. I think he'll make for a very good episode. I've already talked to him once, and I am kind of already revising how I'm approaching people and setting up some of these interviews, which I think is going to work quite a bit better. And maybe I'll do a video on that one of these days as well. But I'm going to try to learn a little bit more first. So that's still in the works. Definitely no shortage of things or projects going on. Go Cubs, by the way. I don't know how many Cubs fans watch my channel, but I am a lifelong Cubs fan, and they are absolutely killing it here this season. I know it's kind of a weird season. It's a shorter season. But I mean, they've got one of the best records in baseball right now, and one of the best records that the Cubs have had in, I think, over 100 years. As far as a starting record, I think they're like 11-3 or 12-3, something like that. Probably should have looked that up before I was going to make a comment about it. Wasn't really planning to, I guess. But they're looking really good with their new manager besides. So anyway, this is a knife making channel, not a baseball channel, so I won't go much more into that. But yeah, we're making progress. There's a lot going on, guys. And I do want to say how much I appreciate those of you who follow and watch these each week. And by the way, if there's anybody who made it the full 13 minutes or so here, leave me a comment below and just say I made it. I will be impressed because I'm sure this is probably one of the most boring videos on YouTube right now. But all that to say, I do appreciate you guys. I appreciate each new subscriber. Welcome aboard. Right now, it looks like I'm just a channel that does weekly updates for no reason. But believe it or not, there are things in the works. It's all part of a master plan. So, like I said, we're going to hopefully soon get into some more interesting topics and material. Not least of all, the podcast, which I'm hoping to start rolling out sooner than later. It is a process, parts of it harder than I thought, but I'm stubborn, and we're going to get there. So, again, thanks, guys. I appreciate you. If you made it, leave me a comment. And definitely stay tuned because, again, it's not just going to be shop updates each week. I'm going to start getting some more interesting material and a little bit more useful content for you guys. So hang in there. We'll get there. And thanks to anybody coming along for the ride. See you next week.